Hi, my name's Louise Warren. I'm one of the independent endpoint assessors working on multi-channel marketer apprenticeship standard. I'll talk to you today about the interview underpinned by the portfolio of evidence. So your portfolio will be a collation of the best work that you've done on programme during your apprenticeship. As an apprentice, you'll have an interview with the independent endpoint assessor. The portfolio itself is not graded, but it's used for the independent endpoint assessor to prepare for the interview. And the interview itself will last 60 minutes as an absolute minimum, with up to 10% extra at the discretion of the endpoint assessor. So when you're looking to prepare your portfolio, you need to ensure that what you put in it maps against the key skills and behaviours for the assessment standard. Only contain evidence that relates to the KSBs for this assessment method. This will be work completed during your on-programme element of the apprenticeship and should contain around 12 pieces of evidence, but these can be collated into one combined document. The same piece of evidence can be used to meet more than one KSB area, so we'll look at it holistically, and we're looking at quality of evidence rather than quantity. So typical things you might want to include in your portfolio are workplace documentation and records, policies and procedures, colleague feedback or witness statements, annotated photos or video clips. So how is the assessment completed? We use online platforms such as Zoom or Teams to complete the assessment. And the independent endpoint assessor will give you as the apprentice at least 1 week's notice of when the assessment's likely to take place. The assessor themselves requires to see your portfolio for at least 2 weeks before the assessment as well. So the independent endpoint assessor will ask you at least 6 questions during the interview, and it's most likely to be many more. And they'll ask questions about aspects of your job role which relate to the key skills and behaviours. You must bring a copy of your portfolio on the day of the endpoint assessment. So we've put a mapping document in the knowledge base of ACE360, which is the platform that we use for endpoint assessment. And this should help make sure that you don't miss any areas in your portfolio. So you'll upload your portfolio to ACE360 in good time for your endpoint assessment so that your assessor can prepare questions. The portfolio itself should not include any reflective accounts or self-assessment methods. So for your interview, please be prepared to discuss each KSB area and have a good couple of examples for each one. Make sure you include at least 1 piece of evidence for each of the KSB areas and reference any work of others and be clear about your own role and joint work completed. During your interview, try to talk in terms of what I did rather than what we did, so that we understand what your involvement in any work is. There's 8 KSB areas for this, which is marking methods, principles and practices, regulation and legislation, marketing communication, customer experience and the customer journey, research and campaign planning, IT and digital tools, campaign implementation and management, data analysis and market evaluation. So use the mapping document, which is in the knowledge base on ACE360, and use it as a checklist to ensure all KSB areas are met. This will clearly break down each area of the pass and distinction criteria. And please create an easy to use reference system so your independent endpoint assessor can locate your evidence easily. Once your portfolio and mapping documents are ready, please ask your provider to upload to ACE360. And remember to keep a copy for the day of your endpoint assessment. So the grading for this part of the endpoint assessment is pass, distinction and fail. And this assessment is combined with the other element for this endpoint assessment, giving overall grades of pass, merit, distinction or fail. You'll need to be in a room on your own to complete the endpoint assessment, and it will most likely be completed online. The EPA is completed under examination conditions and can be completed from work, home or at your college or training provider. This part of the endpoint assessment is likely to last just over an hour with 60 minutes minimum, so be prepared for about an hour and a half. Please log in about 15 minutes early to check your connection, and remember to bring your ID and portfolio on the day. Good luck with your endpoint assessment, and here's our email address if you have any queries.